legal cloud computing. And this is the ABCs of legal cloud computing. So it will just go over the basics of legal cloud computing. And this is short. Paralegal Power Breaks are only 15 minutes long. They're just meant to provide useful information in a very short period of time. So today's session will go over the basics of legal cloud computing and pretty much just focusing on the benefits of cloud computing, what it is if you've never heard of it before, and then where it actually is used in law firms and various other legal organizations as well as legal departments. So, just to go over again, if you receive the invite, cloud computing is becoming really, really popular within the legal industry because it has allowed for practice management systems that used to be housed on a desktop, meaning that it was stored on a desktop. So let's say, for instance, if you're used to purchasing software, even for home computers, you get a CD or a disk or you download something online, and that particular program or system is now part of your computer, which takes up storage space on your computer. Now with cloud-based systems, practice management systems specifically, you're not downloading any software onto your computer. You're accessing the system online, same way you would, let's say, with online banking. You don't download any system on your computer to access your bank's information, your bank account. You log in with the username and password, and you can access all of your information, transactions, bank statements, tax information from the online access. Same thing with cloud computing. For practice management systems for law firms and legal organizations. You're not downloading any system. You're accessing the system online. The system is stored on the server of the service provider. So just to name a few, some of the more popular legal practice management systems now, you have Abacus, Rocket Matter, Firm Manager, which is made by LexisNexis, Thomson Reuters has one, which makes Westlaw. You also have Clio, which is another legal practice management system. So with these systems, the program itself is housed on the server of these particular service providers. So we'll talk about some specific benefits later, but there's an extreme amount of benefits that come along with having a system stored on a third-party server. Of course, there are some issues with that. Tomorrow's session will be on cloud computing ethics. You may want to register for that one because that will go over not necessarily the drawbacks, but the ethical requirements when law firms and legal organizations are using cloud-based systems. So the benefits are, there's a lot of different benefits, but one I just named is that the system is stored on the service provider. But there's other benefits. Let's say, for instance, remote access. If there's a desktop system, a firm or company would have to upgrade their system to be able to provide remote access or do something with their IT department to allow workers to be able to access the system away from the office. The benefit of a cloud-based system, it's a built-in remote access. So for firms that are virtual firms, there are some firms that are virtual law offices. You also have some firms that allow their workers to work from home, either time sharing or flex hours where they work sometime in the office, sometime away from the office. Some are just work from home all the time. So the benefit of a cloud-based system is there's nothing needed, there's no additional features, there's no additional cost to allow a firm to be able to do this, to transition either to a virtual office or to allow remote office workers to work away from the office. So we'll be going over some of the benefits, including reduction in firm costs, specifically lower overhead costs due to remote worker capabilities, and the decrease in IT infrastructure implementation, meaning the cost that it takes to get that system up and running, as well as the decrease in maintenance costs. When you have a system, you have to keep that thing upgraded. Every year there's an upgrade, there's new features. Well, that has to be paid for. Also, user changes. If there's a firm expands and there's more seats, which they're called, or access for more users, that has to be paid for. With cloud-based systems, there are costs associated with adding additional users, but sometimes it's a lot less expensive, and when you're reducing costs or reducing users, there's just a matter of removing that particular user's access, and the cost will immediately go down. Where when you're using a desktop system, usually there's a contract, a year contract, 2-year contract. So for that period, even if you bought, let's say, 10 seats, 10 users to user access for a year, and let's say the firm downsizes for whatever reason, or the department downsizes, and there's only 5 of those that's needed. Well, now the firm, for their additional remainder of the year, they're paying for 5 users that they don't even need. So with the cloud-based system, you just it's a scenario similar to that reduction in users occurs. You remove that user when the next billing cycle comes, which usually these are monthly, then that fee for that particular user or users is removed. So not only are there benefits as far as cost savings, improved efficiency as well. Simplified billing. The system, just to talk about what they offer. Now, I'm familiar with various systems. A lot of them have similar features where there's simplified billing, where instead of a firm using one system to handle the case management aspect, meaning the documents, preparing documents, keeping contact information, hearing dates, calendar, things of that nature in one system, and then when it's time to bill a client or to track time, there's a different system that's used. With these systems, the ones that I'm familiar with, Clio especially, Rocket Matter, Firm Manager, Abacus, actually my case as well, and I didn't mention that earlier, but my case is also a cloud-based practice management system. In these systems, you do all of this. You handle the case, you handle the documents, and when I say handle, I mean let's take it from the beginning to an end. You get a new client. The client, a new matter or new case is created. Name, address, parties involved, attorney, opposing attorney, court location, case number, if that is available then, case number, all that pertinent information, documents. So if the client has brought documents in, medical documents, those documents can be stored in the system, simply just scanned and uploaded into the system attached to that particular case and that particular matter. What else? What else can you do in there? Let me make sure I just go over all the basic benefits of the system and the features. So you're putting in all that information when you start, the contacts, the case information, documents, court location. And then as the case progresses, now let's say you start working on the case and you have to generate a notice or you have to generate some type of filing. These systems have automated document templates, meaning that if there is a case that you're doing, let's say, I'm going to use bankruptcy for an example, because bankruptcy a lot of times has the same things that are done over and over again. There's notices, there's proof of claims, there's same thing done for different clients. The only thing that's really changing is the name, party name, maybe the court location, and case number. So in that instance, what you would do is you would select the matter, the party, the document, and you would click an option, and depending on what system you use, I'm just going to use the word just, to make it simple, something like in Microsoft Word, there's called merge, where you're merging the data, meaning the name, case number, with that particular document template, which let's say it's a proof of claim, which is a filing done in bankruptcy. So once you select the party and once you select the document and you click, I'm using merge, but in different systems it's a different tab or button. You select just one button sometimes. it will merge that contact or that case information with that document done. So instead of you, let's say, using Microsoft Word or another system where you're sitting in or typing in case number, case name, this over and over again, only thing you're doing is selecting a case. It's really just the push of a couple buttons, a couple clicks. Case name, click there. Document, click there. Merge, click there. Done. Your document is created. You're finished. So that allows you to save on time. Now let's go on and say, okay, now you have to bill for this. You know, going into the simplified billing, you have to bill for your time. You know, a lot of law firms and organizations, they keep track of how much time you've spent doing different things. So now instead of you going to this different system and, you know, writing down or keeping track that you've worked on this particular file for 15 minutes, 45 minutes, or however long it takes you to do that, once you start each task, these systems allow you, they have automatic time trackers in there. So you start the case. As soon as you start it, select the case, select what you're working on. Let's say document drafting. Select the case name, document drafting. That's the task you're working on. Click the timer, start. Once you finish, stop the timer. So this will actually flow in to the billing. So now when it's time for that billing person, if that's not you to do the billing, or for you to submit your time, it's not a matter of you pulling out this spreadsheet or going to this different system and putting it in there. The person that's handling the billing will actually just pull up a report with your time, and your billable rate will already be in the system, and then they create the billing. Very simplified, one system, not all over the place. Also improve client relations. You know, client communication is a complaint for a lot of clients when they're dealing with attorneys. You know, these are complaints that are made to the bar. These are complaints that are actually go on to malpractice suits. So a lot of times it's not that attorneys and, you know, the people working with attorneys, you being a paralegal, or if you're going to be a paralegal, that you don't want to, you don't have the time. Well, the great thing about a lot of these systems is that they have client communication portals built into the system. And again, this is part of it, so you're not paying for an upgrade for an additional feature. This is included with the system where now the client can access their account similar to how you would access your online banking with your bank account. They can log in once you create that login and say, you know, provide them with access to what you would like for them to have access to. They can simply log in and see what's going on. So what you can do as a paralegal, you know, if you're a paralegal manager or an office manager or legal administrator, and we'll talk about this at tomorrow's session as far as ethics, have the client, when you first meet with them, let them know that this is a system that your office uses. If they would like to sign up for it, provide an email address. Some systems actually have texting capabilities as well. The benefit of that is that when it's time for them to be updated, you've already let them know in the beginning that you always keep this information updated, because you're not doing double entry anywhere. Only thing you're doing is keeping track of the case management information in one system, providing client access to a client portal so they know when hearings are coming up. You can actually put a reminder in and who you want to be reminded. So when it's time for a hearing to come up, you've already done your work in the beginning. You put the hearing date in, you set in the set that you want a reminder to go out one if it's a long way out, you want to do it 1 month before, 1 week before, 1 day before, 1 hour before. Put this in immediately. So once it's time, the system is automatically going to start generating these reminders, not just to you, but the client as well. And or let the client know in the beginning when you do your intake that they have access to this system. If they ever have any questions to log in, they can have updates. They can also send you secured messages from the systems as well. And they can send a message. If they have any questions, you just log into your system, same system you use to do all the rest of your work, get their message, look at it, reply back, done. Very, very simple and improved client relations. Also increases efficiency because you're not using one system here. You don't have to use Outlook if you don't need to, or another system to communicate with clients. You're in one system all day. Time tracking, drafting documents, storing documents, communicating with clients, Some systems, and I don't know if I mentioned this previously, allow you to make calls from them as well and track this as well. So now not only are you keeping track of your work, you're also keeping track of your communication with the clients. It's going to log this. So client says, well, I didn't know I had a hearing this day. You didn't tell me that, or, I didn't know I had to be there. And you can pull up the system and say, well, I see here that the message was emailed to you or sent to you, or I called you this day, and there's a note. It's notated in the system. Well, what happened? Is this an accurate email address? That's why you want to make sure your email address that you have is accurate. So maybe, every once in a while do a test email, send the client a message, and have them respond so you know that you have the correct information. So, that is some of the benefits of cloud-based legal practice management systems. It allows to decrease costs. It allows you to decrease time that it takes you to do different tasks. I mentioned with document drafting with the document template. It also allows you to save space. You're not using any space on your computer or a server in a firm or an organization to store this system. You are accessing it online. This system is stored on the server of the service provider. So that is just a general overview of legal cloud computing. I hope it gave you enough information for you to know what it is, and if you're considering implementing it in your firm, if you're a paralegal manager, or using it for yourself, or just want to get more information about cloud computing. I hope it provided you with that. And if you're interested, again, tomorrow's session is going to be on cloud computing ethics. So if you're interested, register for that session, and you can learn about cloud ethics maybe in your state, because I'm going to refer to the ethical rules of different states, and this is a list provided by the American Bar Association. All state bars are not there and their cloud computing ethics, but some are, and I'll be going over some of those and pointing you to where you can locate those at. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow, which in a sense will kind of talk about the drawbacks a little bit to these cloud-based systems. And so you can be prepared if you're looking to implement this in a firm or for yourself. So again, thank you for your time, and hope to have you in tomorrow's session. If you want to register, if you have not registered yet, go to rainmakersonline.com, go to the blog, and if you click on Paralegal Power Breaks, or the first blog post, I'm not sure, it may still be the tomorrow session, but if not, click on the Paralegal Power Breaks category and then look for that topic, which is cloud computing ethics, and you can register for tomorrow's session. So thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of